I have the great fortune of voice directing both Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss. So some of my favorite scenes are ones that I am not in, but like I love in Hell of a Boss. I love the Octavia and Luna scene in the Brandon Ragers episode. In my own work, I like Drunk Moxie. That's
Yes.
one of my favorite scenes. In Invader Zim, there's just so many that I love. But Planet Jackers and Grr, why was there bacon in the soap is probably my favorite line ever.
Oh gosh, favorite. I feel like my favorite episodes are always the ones that are like dark, because that's where you get to do the really cool like serious acting, and you get to dig really deep. Usually when I'm acting, especially like for anime, it's things like, oh no, I tripped and fell onto you. And so it's really nice to be able to do something a little bit more meaningful. So I really liked episode 6 and 7 of Oshi no Ko. If you watched it,
isn't that how you and Cliff met, by the way?
No, I tripped and fell onto him. Oh no, it's not too dissimilar. No, that's not true. We did meet through work though. So yeah, 6 and 7 of Oshi no Ko, they're pretty dark. They deal with bullying and suicidal thoughts, which I always feel like is a really important thing to address, especially anime is really good about addressing things like that and mental health and self-care. One of my favorite lines I ever said was from a series called The Hopeful Fox Senko, which is a show all about mental health and self-care, which I wish we had more of. But the line is, just because others have it worse doesn't make your feelings less valid. I want you to share your feelings with me, like, no matter what. And I always thought that was a really powerful line, because we all have that moment of like, man, my day sucked. I stubbed my toe, and I overcooked my lunch, and I got a speeding ticket. What a horrible day. And someone else is like, y'all are starving children in Africa. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm such a bad person. But that doesn't mean that your day didn't suck. Your day still sucked. For you, your day sucked. So your feelings are still valid. So I think that's a really important thing to just know. Like, you can feel that way even if somebody else is going through worse things.
I disagree.
Yeah, on the plane. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
We don't need to go into it.
What was it like? You know what? I guess some of my favorite episodes of I'll reference Danny Phantom. I guess so many of the animated shows that I guess a lot of us get to work on. The episodes tend to be they're silly and they're wacky and they're funny and they're crazy and there's a lot of humor in them. But I'm sort of building on what you mentioned about... No, you don't have to talk.
I love that you still have a puppet on your hand. You're not talking.
Sort of building on what you said, is the episodes that were more relationship-oriented, and that was one of the cool things I found about Danny Phantom as a series, that each episode, while it could live on its own, there was a really great through line that went from the first episode to the final episode, which I guess it was the final episode. I don't know. I'm always thinking maybe it wasn't the final episode, but so far it's been the final episode. But so episodes like parental bonding, where there was storylines having to do with Danny and his mom, problems that they were having, and that they come together. There doesn't seem to be a lot of that in animation, or at least a lot of the animation I had worked on. So it was cool to do storylines that had more meaning to people and addressed, I guess, issues and friendships that we all experience, and maybe brought the people watching that episode some solace in something that they may be experiencing in their life. Even though I know it's an animated show, I liked bringing that sense of grounded reality to it. I always approach everything I did, no matter what the animation I did, I started out as an on-camera actor, and I've done mostly on-camera acting, so I still approach all my animation work primarily from, like, I guess, the inside out, if we're gonna get kind of actor-y talk about it. More inside out, as opposed to, like, thinking, like, what kind of voice am I gonna use for this, and discovering it that way. I think of it more relationship-oriented, and what does this character want, and who are they talking to, and building the character that way. So my characters tend to be more grounded, I think, in that sense. So.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was very grounded.
I like pie.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that in my house.
Am I the only one that suffered the 80s up here at all?
Say again, suffered the
Gen
80s?
X,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
David and I go back 40 years.
Oh,
right,
we do.
right. So we come from the walking
me
off
too.
generation, right? You guys are being all mushy about everything. I'm numb emotionally to pretty much everything. Drinking from water hoses to 10 p.m. commercials of, do you know where your children are?
Yes, exactly.
My mom's like, still outside.
Unless your
She'll come
leg's
home
broken,
eventually.
I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, just say
Generation.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Yeah. So what do we say no to? I think a lot of the characters probably that I do reflect that. I think one of my favorites is Handsome Jack, where it's just like he takes nothing seriously and he's evil. So I just like, I think I can't think of an episode, but by and large characters that are maybe misunderstood, and I like comedy, and I play pretty much all villains. Gen X, really.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like
About it?
For me, I think most of us up here can agree that we're just kind of living our lives and going through our careers, and we just kind of like go to the next job, hope for the next job, and you just kind of keep building a catalog of things that you're not really thinking of in the moment as iconic. And then you get 30 to 40 years down the road in your career, and then suddenly it's like, oh, people show them this, oh my gosh, like some people grew up on Invader Zim, whereas the next generation grew up on Chaos. So, like, if you see anything I post, people go, that's not Invader Zim, that's Chaos. Well, yeah, it's just kind of the same voice. But I don't think in terms of being iconic. I think in terms of being very grateful at this stage in my life and career that those shows meant something to somebody.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I mean, I never really think of it as myself as like I did something amazing, I did something iconic, but at the same time, I can relate to it because I felt that way about people that I met as I was just starting out, and that I was stunned that I got to work with, or that I got to meet. And so then I sort of realized, like, well, what I'm experiencing is the same thing that they're experiencing about the work that I'm doing. So I can understand it, and then I'm really grateful for it, and it feels really
It's like
cool.
the first time you met Lou Ferrigno or Kevin Sorbo or Lucy Lawless at a con, you're like, this is crazy, right? It's like the same kind of thing, but they're also, like David said, just living their lives, right?
Yeah, I mean, like like I said, had done a lot of on-camera stuff, and I grew up when I was a kid watching Little House on the Prairie, and watched it every single week, and like my family loved it and everything. And then when I was first starting out in the business, it was the very last season of Little House on the Prairie, and I had an audition for it because the kid who was playing, it's kind of a long story, but the kid who was playing Victor French's son, they were bringing it back. So those characters back, Kyle Richards' character, and they were bringing
It was Kyle and Jason Bateman, right? Wasn't that the two of them?
No, Jason played another character.
Oh, okay.
This other kid, that played Kyle's brother,
Oh.
and they had to recast him. And so I went in and I got to audition right in front of Michael Landon. I booked it. Then I ended up doing a couple episodes of Highway to Heaven, and I did an episode of Father Murphy. So I ended up working for Michael Landon a few times, and it was crazy because I was like, I was so enamored when I was a kid watching him, like watching Pa from Little House on the Prairie, and then all of a sudden I'm getting to work with him, and I had to see him in a different way. I had to see him as a coworker, as a contemporary, and I had to sort of set my awe aside and work with him. So, but I understand that. Yeah.
Improvise up a storm in all of my shows. I'm very lucky, but particularly in Billy and Mandy, I did a lot of improvising there because I did these long, rambling things that I would throw things in. But the one I remember the most was that we did a thing called Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure. It was like an hour special, and there was a song in it called Scary. It goes, Scary-o, I'm skipping a baby though. And it gets to this break, and I couldn't wait to it because it's supposed to be like an 80s hair band singing, right? And I thought I was gonna get to do it. But when I got there, they had hired like an 80s hair band singer to do that part, and I was really upset. And I said to the creator, I said, I thought, Billy gets to do his own like break in the song. He goes, well, if there's time before lunch, we'll let you do a pass at it. I'm like, great. So it's going on and on. We're running late. It's like it's break time. Then it's time to take lunch. And they're like, okay, you can do one pass at it. So Billy, he goes, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm just really, really hungry. I want a sandwich. Because it was lunchtime, right? So they ended up poor guy, he didn't get used in the break, but that's what ended up in the song. And the creator said, yeah, that's more Billy-like. And then in Invader Zim, there was a ton of stuff. The top two that I remember was in the very first pilot episode. It was like, Invader's blood marches through my veins like radioactive rubber ants was what was written, but I accidentally said like radioactive rubber pants. And they kept that in. And then in the Enter the Florpus one, it's like Zim is chasing Dib over the planets, and he's like, the line was just, you're ugly when you lie, Dib! And it ended up, I'm not ugly, but I said, then why are you ugly? And it ended up in there. So, there's fun stuff.
Almost never improv. I honestly, like, I came from this, like, doing theater when I was a kid and in high school and in college. It was the script, like, you don't change a line of Neil Simon. You don't change a word of Shakespeare. You don't change the script. So I was always, that was so ingrained in me that that was just who I was. And I would, and then when I would get in these sessions, when I started doing a lot of animation, I would get in these sessions with Rob Paulson and people, and Gray Delisle, and also all this great, like, funny, like, crazy improv would be going on. Literally, you guys, honestly, I'd be sitting there like this. Thinking it was hilarious, like, these people are really funny. And of course, the funnier they were, the more I was like, I can't say a word because I will not be funny. So I would, like, panic about it. So I'm in total awe of, like, people who can just, like the Richard, that you can do that. You can just rip and go off and just, like, write like that, right off the
Here's the funniest part of what David just said.
You go.
I think Elaine would make a really great Sailor Scout. In the kind of way that, like, she would one-shot all of the villains because she's so strong. But she wouldn't, like, know. She'd be like, oops, and then she'd, like, go on with her day. And then off to find love by daylight, I guess. Hello?
It's weird because it just said your mom.
My mom, my wife.
I think handsome.
What the hell's going on?
I think Handsome Jack would be a great tuxedo mask.
I'm not gonna lie. What was the question again?
Which of your characters that you've played would be a Sailor Scout?
Yeah, you see, I wish I knew what Sailor Scout was.
So they fight evil by moonlight.
Yeah.
And then they find love by daylight.
Oh, yeah.
I watch shows about subsistence living and building log cabins. I was joking, like, if a new season of Alone comes out, I've never been happier.
Yeah.
Yep.
So sorry that Sailor Moon reference kind of went over my head a little
They're
bit.
always ready for the good fight.
But I like Richard's answer, so I'm just going to go ahead and piggyback on that. Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, I think I would say the same thing. I don't know if any of my characters would be. I don't know.
Just go with Richard's answer.
Yeah.
Be invaded by aliens. Have you guys seen the mothership that's coming? I don't have time to think about a whole lot of. Yeah, no, it's probably fake, but there's so much chaos in the world right now that you kind of. I don't know about you guys, but most of it just bounces off me right now. Maybe that's just Gen X talking.
That's your numb feelings talking.
AI's freaking us out.
I
There's
was
so many
just
things
gonna
freaking
bring
us
up
out.
like
Yeah.
that is it. That's
You can't-
been
you can't
tough.
obsess on it, because if
the
you
cutting
do-
of the arts has been very distressing.
You can't let
But
too much
AI
thought to one
situation
thing,
is
right?
really
If you
crazy.
do, then you're gonna just not want to get out of bed, right? So we don't have control over any of that stuff.
Well, for
I
me,
actually have an answer though.
well, for me, when the
Nobody's listening to it.
was, I was just having this conversation with Kristen yesterday, just literally this. Where
Me?
This Kristen.
Oh, sorry.
My wife, Kristen.
I mean, all great creators. Her name's
Yeah,
Kristen.
exactly.
So, you know, it's an easy confusion.
There was this meme going around, or this thing going around in more conservative circles that were, I don't need a singer, I don't need an actor, I need a doctor, I need a lawyer, I need an engineer. But that's not really true. You do need art in the world, otherwise you live in a very dark place. And it is just as important to bring medicine through laughter, through joy, through music. So when I see those things beginning to be censored, I get very uptight, and it just, my spines on my back get up tight. And,
Is it because you played a beaver?
it's because I played a beaver. They don't have quills, but yes.
But they have like, they're very spiky.
Yes, we do have a tail that slaps.
Yeah.
And so that does concern me greatly, and I keep my eyes out. Especially I'm on a show that's a very LGBTQ plus world with Has Been and Hell of Us. So I'm always keeping my eyes open for censorship. That always very greatly concerns me.
I have an answer to this question. Thank you, Damon. Is this about the thing on
It's
the
about
plane?
time you tell us. We've been waiting.
So I grew up in a very poor part of the country, East Tennessee. And as an artist and somebody who had a really hard childhood, art was the only thing that kind of kept me going. And I was really grateful to the art programs in our school. And so, as an adult, anytime I see something that makes me really mad, which lately is often, I go onto this website called donorschoose.org. And it is a charity for schools across America. And you can search by low economic status. You can search by diversity. You can search for what kind of projects you want to fund. So I look for art projects. I look for STEM projects. I look for after-school sports projects. And I look in cities with a need that have, their cities are really poor, and that these programs can make all the difference to these kids. And it'll tell you what they're funding, like maybe they just want a color printer for their math class, or maybe I just did sewing kits for a sewing club. And they'll tell you, this is what we need, this is how much it costs. It has a list of what they need, so it's completely transparent. And you can choose to donate $5, you can choose to fund the whole project. It's often matched by another company. So if the project says, we need $200 for this, if you donate $100 and it's matched, you can fund the project completely. And then you get thank you notes from the teachers, and you get photos of the kids using the stuff. I've seen kids playing with basketballs. I've seen the sewing club sent me handwritten letters telling me that it was like Christmas come early. And it is such a small thing that anybody can do that can help us in a time when things are being defunded. Because if the government won't pay for it, then the community has to come together. And that's what I do in these times, is when I get mad about things I can't control, I find something I can control.